get it, that's too bad for them. I don't feel like that at all. I feel like it's an obligation for those of us that do understand what's happening to be prepared to help those that don't. And that goes back to all the different skill sets, because if you think I can do everything that is required on my little urban farm or up at my bug out location or even in the company, no, it takes a village. It takes people. So, I think if you don't have the ability to accumulate, learn a new skill, because that is barterable. But there is something that I'm paying attention to and I think is really interesting, because there's no fever like gold fever. And I think we've already seen many global central banks that have been accumulating as much gold as they can, as quickly as they can. But here in the U.S., most of our gold is in digital form. It's just contracts, and there's an unlimited amount of them. They can create as much as they want to. But, I don't think that it's just about the tariffs that some fat fingers said, no, I want to take delivery of the gold. And when I look at what the Bank of England did, which is sending over gold that they're holding in custody for other countries, and then it's shipped to the U.S., and then that gold is delivered out. Well, what happens if those countries ask for that gold back? If you don't hold it, you don't own it, because possession is 9/10 of the law. But let's say for a minute that they go in and they audit Fort Knox. Well, are they going to do just a visible audit? I want to see the books, because they can have a whole bunch of gold there, but there are so many complicated, convoluted ways that they lease out this gold. I'd love it if it were just a 2-to-1 ratio. I have no idea what that ratio really is. I don't think anybody really knows what that ratio is, because if you're not worried about being audited, you don't really have to track it so much. You can, it kind of opens a lot of doors. But I'm wondering what's going to happen in this physical gold rush, because we've already entered it. We can see that. And gold has always been the flight to safety asset. I mean, according to the Bank for International Settlements, gold is the only financial asset that runs zero counterparty risk. The only one. And that's always been true. So you can fool yourself in thinking that it's dollars, but goodness gracious, what this dollar used to buy me even a month ago, let alone 50 years ago, let alone 100 years ago, and what it will buy me today is vastly, vastly different. And I did a little study, and I just updated it the other day, but I don't have it in front of me, so don't hold me to the numbers exactly. But I make a comparison between a Bureau of Labor Statistics basket of food back in 1913 and the average wage 1971, again, average wage, and that same basket of food. And I just updated it the other day. When you look at where even the manipulated spot market was on silver, while the basket of food was up, I think something like 2,600%, spot silver was up over 3,000%. So it maintains your ability to buy the same food basket, maintain your same standard of living over time. But spot gold was up over 13,000%. So it isn't just that it maintains your ability to buy the same thing. It certainly does. But it actually expands your ability to grow your wealth base. And what we're seeing now, at 3,300, 4,000, 10,000, 20,000 gold. It doesn't matter. I was listening to a video the other day that I did. Maybe I did it 6 months ago or something like that. It was not a very old video. And I made the comment, well, if you think $3,000 gold sounds outrageous, how about $40,000 gold, right? Well, not that long ago, $3,000 gold seemed outrageous, but that's a spot contract. it doesn't reflect the true fundamental value of an ounce of gold for its most important function, which is to hold its purchasing power over time. Give the public back their power. Take it back. They're not going to ever volunteer, they meaning central banks and governments, will never volunteer to give you, the public, more power. But we can certainly take it back just by having sound money in our possession. And dare I say, sound money in the monetary system, but not because somebody says, oh, look, it's backed by gold, but you can't convert it. You can't take it out of the system, just like Zimbabwe, right? The ZiG, the most current iteration of the Zimbabwe local currency, Zimbabwe gold, it was doomed from the start because the only reason they put gold in there was to regain the public confidence that they have abused since 2006, and actually before that, because they hyperinflated in 2006, right? So they said that it was backed. But where I have a $10 trillion Zimbabwe note, the one before that, I can't get my hands on a ZiG because it's not in physical form. And they say that it's 40% backed, but you can't take physical possession. So what did they do in October? I think it came out in April. In October, they devalued it by 44%. And if it's truly backed, you can't do that, because there are limitations on how much money you can print. So people need to understand, this is probably, in my opinion, just so critically important to understand the difference between something that is truly backed and something that is merely pegged. Because if it's backed, you need to be able to take possession if you want to. Just like we could with this gold certificate, we could walk in and we could walk out with one of these. And with all of the talk of the asset-backed securities, if you can't take possession of the underlying security, it doesn't mean anything. It means that it's pegged to a price that they can manipulate.